Good morning, everybody. I've realized I say that. I don't need to say good morning or good afternoon. I guess that is my thing of starting the day, to put a smile on your face. I hope you are having a wonderful, beautiful day. I'm standing out here on my deck under my crepe myrtle tree. This thing was so heavy with blooms and seeds that I had to cut the ends of it off to pop the limbs back up. Um, right there, see the pot here with the grass? That crepe myrtle was touching the grass. It was down that low, and there was a portion of it sitting over there that was touching the deck. I have another one right here in front of me, and it was so low it was touching our Adirondack chairs on our patio. So I'm standing under these things. I absolutely love them. They give shade. That is exactly what I wanted from them, and that's what they do. They are white, and they bloom twice, so they're actually in bloom again, and I hear the bees and stuff up here on the top. So they're not down here with me, or I wouldn't be standing in the tree or under the tree. I wanted to hop on right quick. I do these Joy-Filled Adventures things a lot. And I wanted to share something, and it's on a health thing, but I want you to stick with me because I have kind of like a journey. You know that I have dealt with some odd health issues for almost 25 years. And, I'll say 24 years because they've been improving since that 24-year mark. I have been able to look back and see where there have been some things that have caused things to go on in my body. When I was 6, I kept having strep throat or tonsillitis over and over and over. And I mean, constantly on antibiotics over and over and over. To finally, the doctor just told my parents, you got to get those tonsils out. And got them out. But what happened after that, for years, I dealt with stomach pain, stomach problems. My stomach hurt me all the time. I couldn't explain why my stomach hurt. You hear kids say, my stomach hurts, I don't want to go to school kind of thing, and it's usually anxiety or nervousness or something like that. This wasn't the case. My stomach literally hurt. I did not know what was wrong. I actually had some tests done to see, when I was a little bit older, I had some tests done just to see, is there anything wrong with her stomach? And they could find nothing wrong, and there were some things that they were like, well, let's put her on these Tagamet pills every day, and she can take that, and it should help. Well, those things are nasty. Hey, Miss June. Those things are nasty, and I used to wrap them in cheese. Well, I'm going to tell you to this day, I cannot eat cheese by itself because it makes me think of chewing that Tagamet pill, and it ruined me on cheese. And not that I can't eat cheese on something else, but I don't like eating it by itself. Anyway, go on. I kept just thinking, what in the world? Hey, Miss Angel, wondering what was going on. What is wrong with Kelly? What is the deal with me? You all don't understand. When I was in 8th grade, I was 5'9", the same height I am now. Growing up, I was extremely thin. We were out on the playground, or not playground, we had like a place that we went to in elementary school when we had like a special day, and we went to our town's pool, and there was stuff to do, stuff to play, and all that if we didn't get in the pool. And we were going around giving each other nicknames, and one of the nicknames that I was given, and I realized years later that that kind of stuck in my head, and I had to go through that and forgive this person because it bothered me and I didn't realize it did. But they called me Bones. So you can imagine how thin I was. I have a photo of myself. I don't know, I was probably 8 to 10 maybe. And I have a picture of myself, and I didn't like that. I didn't like being called skinny. I didn't like being called Bones. My stomach hurt me all the time, and I mean, I would eat, but I just didn't feel good. And as I started growing up, I got into college and realized that, wonder if I need allergy tests done. Well, lo and behold, I did, because I had allergies, and allergies weren't, the normal, you stop up your sinuses, you feel like you're nasally and all that. That wasn't the issue. It was the drainage going into my stomach, causing my stomach to hurt, and the allergies were causing that. I'm like, oh, praise the Lord, I've got answers to my stomach problems. Guys, I took allergy shots for 10 years. Took them in college, switched allergy doctors after I got married, continued taking allergy shots while I was pregnant with our son, and I absolutely, praise God, those allergy issues stopped. I give him all the glory. Yes, I took the shots for 10 years. The last time I got them, God said, go get it. And I'm like, but I know you've healed me. It's like, go get it. So I did. I went and got the last shot. And that was it. No more. No more. But 10 years, I took them. I started noticing after I got married, I started putting on weight. And people were like, oh, that's normal. You get married, you get happy. Just it's normal to put on weight. Well, guys, I started gaining weight, in my lower belly where people thought I was pregnant. I had people thinking, oh my goodness, Kelly, you're expecting. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And people, they're looking at my belly, patting my belly, and they're like, are you sure? I'm like, I do believe I would know if I was. And I got upset over that because I was gaining weight and I didn't like it. From being someone who was extremely thin to start gaining weight, it bugged me. And at the first, I was okay because I was putting weight on the right places and it looked good on me. But then it got to a point that it was beyond looking good. I always, when I would look, my belly was bigger. If I stood to the side, I was thick. If you looked at me, hey, Miss Kay, if you looked at me from the front or the back, I wasn't wide, I was thick from front to back. And I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I started wearing bigger clothes so you couldn't tell. I'm still tall, so it didn't look like I was really overweight. But when I would stand on the scales, I never had weighed as much as I did. So after I got married, 3 months after I got married, I started getting this stuff on my hands. One of my hands, my left hand, this was the first one. And I thought it was eczema. I was a computer person at a bank. I was handling all this metal. I was getting it into dust. So I started wearing gloves. I went to a dermatologist later, a few years later, after our son was born, trying to figure out what was wrong. I went without wearing jewelry, thinking it was nickel. Going to all extremes, trying to figure out what was going on. I wore those gloves so my hands wouldn't get dirty or dusty. It didn't help. I could not figure out what was wrong. And when I mentioned that dermatologist, when I went to him, he looked at me and had done a test, and he told me, he said, well, I can tell you it's an internal problem and I can't help you. And I'm like, listen, when I was pregnant with our son, I did not have this stuff on my hands. Why? What happened? And he told me, he said, your immune system did that. I'm like, well, then help my immune system. And he's like, well, I don't know how. And he was willing to put me on some type of medication, and I found out years later what that was. And he told me, he said, but if you're not done having kids, you don't need to take it. And I'm like, why? And he said, well, it could destroy your kidneys. And I'm like, I'm not kidneys, but ovaries. I'm like, no. And if I was, I still wouldn't take it because God gave me my ovaries. I think I'll keep them. And so I just struggled on, carried on forward, going forward, trying to figure out what was going on with my body. The weight issue kept creeping up. I got to the weight I was almost fully, when I was fully pregnant, I got up almost to that weight. And I'm like, Kelly, you've got to do something. So I started doing a diet called First Place. I had a family member who taught it to me, and my husband and I both did it. Well, I was having success. I was losing weight. I'd try it, intermittently at times, and I would lose 20 pounds in segments. And over several years, guys, I lost 60 pounds over those several years' time, and not all at one time. And I was like, wow, this diet really works. Well, and I started noticing my hands got better. I'm like, okay, that's when I started noticing. I'm like, because I was eating less carbs and less sugars. I'm like, it is related to that, but I still did not know why. How can that be? And I had somebody after that tell me, they're like, you know what? I know what that is. And I'm like, what? And they said, it's candida. And I'm like, what is candida? Well, of course, I get online. Oh, my sweet hummingbird. Um, oh, I got online to research candida, and you would have no idea what I found and how much that scared me. I'm like, how in the world am I going to be able to eat like this? I don't understand. Um, but I was like, I had a piece that was what it was, but I just needed to understand more. Well, I had someone after that tell me, they're like, Kelly, you get your gut healthy, you'll get better. I'm like, my gut. If your gut's not healthy, your brain's not healthy. And I'm thinking, what? And oh, I just I I couldn't understand. My gut and my brain, they're so far apart. I cannot understand that. I can't fathom that. Well, I went on a journey. 8 years ago, I started. Finally found out what was wrong. Found out what was wrong going in with my hands. Found out about what the gut needed, why, all of this. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And for the first time, except for the time that I was pregnant with our son, for the first time, and it was 17 years, I went a year without anything on my hands. And I was amazed, but I introduced foods back that are not healthy for you. They're not something that you would eat every day. Intermittently, you eat things here and there, sure, it's okay. But if you go overboard with it being a sugarholic like I was, you can imagine what I love to eat, sugar. And so after about a year, things started showing back up in my hands, and I'm like, what in the world? What do I do? Well, I want you to know, I went since that time, I went to that dermatologist. Hey, Glenn, it's good to see you. I went to the dermatologist. I went to 3 homeopathic people. I went last year to a functional medicine doctor who is a chiropractor. Amazing. And I'm like, every time I went, I learned something new. Well, being with the chiropractor, I'm like, okay, she was teaching me a lot and helping me understand even more things, but I knew there was something going on in my mind, my thinking, my positivity. I would think negative things. Something would happen and my mind immediately would go to something negative, knowing that I'm not supposed to do that. That's not good. Keep your mind positive. I could not get to a point that I could think positive. Guys, I've been a Christian since I was 7. I was part of a prayer ministry starting in 2004. And that prayer ministry taught me a lot. I had people through my life that I can look back now and I can see what God was doing through these people. In that prayer ministry, I understood and I learned how to heal spiritually. I started a relationship with God. I was saved at a very young age, and I knew who God was, but I didn't have that relationship with God. And I started that relationship. I found out that I could talk to God. Hey, Miss Karen, I could talk to God like I'm talking with you. And I could share with him like I'm sharing with you. And I can be quiet and he can talk back. And so, I'm learning more about his word. I'm studying his word more. I'm getting into journaling, prayer time with him. I mean, I'm absolutely loving this. So I'm understanding and learning how to heal spiritually. Well, I remember I told you I went to this first person, found out what was going on with my hands. God started taking me on a journey 8 years ago to learn how to heal physically. And I'm like, okay, I'm learning all these things. God, this is amazing. Okay, I'm putting my spiritual life, my prayer life, all of that, tying it into my physical life so God can teach me how to heal physically. And I'm amazed. Well, this doctor that I was starting going to see last September, there was a comment made, and it's like a trigger went off in my head. And it was about your thinking. And I had been praying because because I had been told that there were physical and there were emotional things that were tied to these hands. Now listen, you're hearing me say were, not now, were. That's speaking life. I believe. I'm believing and I'm seeing it happen. So there was something that my doctor had said that made me think. And I'm like, nobody can help me with the emotional thinking other than God. And He can lead me in the right places at the right times to learn. So here I go. I have a very good friend of mine. She lives in Texas. We had been talking for several years. And she just all of a sudden, opened up to me one day and started sharing with me about how the emotions are so tied to everything. And going through spiritual healing, you dealing with emotions, but you have this stuff still shoved so far down that you don't know what's shoved so far down and how it affects you in so many ways. So we began to work together. And I was amazed. There would be improvements in my hands. And I'm like, wow, there's an improvement. Is this real? Is this really real? Hey, Monica. I'm like, is this really real? God, you're amazing. You're amazing. And I started thinking, you taught me, Lord, about the spiritual side of healing. You taught me, God, about the physical side of healing. You're now teaching me about the emotional side of healing. Guys, things that a child would think that an adult doesn't think that way. But it created thoughts and drama in me that created a root. And from that root stemmed everything else that had gone in through my life. So in May of this year, the beginning of summer, this past week, I've gone through May, June, and July. 12 weeks. I went through a program with my friend in Texas, I mentioned. She was doing the emotional stuff with me, but she did life coaching. And I'm like, oh, I'm good. I don't know that I need life coaching. And then God's like, yeah, you do. And I'm like, okay, I trusted Him. And I went through this life coaching thing. Wow, oh wow. Wow. The transformation that has happened during this time, I have been absolutely amazed. God has opened up things in me, has showed me things, has put life in me. And I'm like some stay-at-home mama that needed something and wondering after this year, my son's senior year, what am I going to do with myself? God is opening my eyes and my heart. So I began praying, I don't know, about three weeks ago, I guess. 3-4 weeks ago, I started praying, and I'm like, God, I got up one morning, and I just happened to look at my hands, and I'm like, okay, Lord, you are doing so much to heal me, so much, but I feel like there's something missing, and I don't understand. I don't know what it is. You're the God that answers everything. You're the God that knows things, and I am trusting you to teach me, to help me. I'm like, I know you can touch my hands and you can heal them lickety-split. I know that. And I'm trusting that you'll take care of it. I said, you've taken me on this journey. I have learned so much more than I probably even understand now. But I trust you, and He will continue to teach me if I allow Him to. So it was a few days later, I had a friend that I've known for a couple of years. They don't show up in my newsfeed on Facebook very often, but this post did. And the post spoke to my heart. And nothing was really said about anything other than it spoke to my heart and made me reach out. I'm like, what you doing now? What's going on? What is this? And they started talking to me about, hey, Miss Sherry. They started talking to me, and they kind of knew some of my issues, or some of the issues that I had dealt with. I'm trying to word my words correctly. And they mentioned, have you had anything done about testing your DNA? And I'm like, well, I've had all this homeopathic testing done, and I've got down to the molecular level, seeing things in my body, but like DNA testing, finding out my genealogy and all that. No, I've not had that done. They're like, no, this is different. This is testing your DNA to see if you have these SNPs. The last part of that is polymorphism. I can't remember the whole full name, but it's called a SNP, SNP. And I'm like, well, no, I haven't had that done. I said, that's interesting. So I'm like, send me some information, because I knew there were things that were helping me, but the things I was taking, hey, Shanda, the things I had been taking, not everything of that was helping me. And I'm like, why can't you just find something that will give you exactly what you need? And I could see how things had helped me. You know, guys, I've been with the company for over 5 years, and I could see improvement in my body, but not the answers, not that full healing. And I'm like, what is wrong? Is there something here that is helping, but something here that's not? And I'm just like, after praying that the other day, asking God for more answers, that there was something maybe missing, lo and behold, hello, it was dropped in my lap. Guys, I sent off to have my DNA tested. I got my results back this week. I am wowed. It shows your DNA. It shows these variants that your parents give you. It can show you the variant that they gave you, the positive variants, the good parts of it, and there's no issue. They can show that one gave you a negative part of that variant, that the problem, and the other one didn't. Or it can show that, sorry, I got sweat bees around here. Or it can show you that both of them gave you a negative variant, and it's, you know, this SNP showing up. It's giving you answers about things about your body. Well, I was, looking at mine. I'm like, well, I can understand some of this, and I only had one variant that both of my parents gave me. I had 4 that only one of my parents gave me, and everything else looked good. I'm like, well, that's good. Oh my goodness, that's good. Well, I start reading, because I'm thinking, what do these things have to do with what else is going on with me? I started reading everything that this report gave. 35 pages, guys. I read it. I got into this report. There was one thing, the one variant that both parents gave me, the one that showed up red. Guys, it spoke to my heart. My heart. I have an answer. God used this and gave me an answer. I could see in reading these reports, I could see where there were pieces of these, what I have been taking, that were helping me. I'm like, praise you, God. I could see things that I hadn't been taking that I need. I could understand why a vitamin I was taking I felt so wonderful with. I could understand why there was a vitamin I took that I didn't feel wonderful with. I started seeing it, and it started making so much sense to me, and I'm wowed by this, that God would allow me the opportunity to learn the makeup of me. He created me, the makeup of me, and to show me, Kelly, this is what else you need. Guys, I see that missing thing that I've been asking for with all the issues I've had with my hands. I see the answer. The answer. And I am wowed. I'm so excited. I have been going through a detox, of what they call it. I've been doing that and feeling amazing and seeing improvements in my hands. But to have my own designer nutrition specifically for my body, wow, oh wow. Putting those things that I read in those reports that I figured out were good for me, but taking out the things of other things that weren't good for me, giving me exactly what I need. So, if you're curious what your makeup is and why you have some odd issues or have had some odd issues and you just don't understand, you've not had answers, you don't know why why is this? There's a lot of people I know that have wondered that. I have some friends that are like, I don't understand why I can't lose weight. And let me tell you, these friends have tried everything, and believe me, they have. They've changed their diet. That's the biggest thing that they've changed, and the diet's still not helping. They have improved their gut health, and gut health is so important. I'm a gut health person. I will tell you that from this day on. Get your gut healthy. Hey, Miss Elaine, I've worked for 5.5 years on the gut issue. I get it. And I've figured out a lot, but God has blessed me with that. Blessed me to help other people, to walk beside other people, to, share recipes, to share encouragement, to pray, to encourage you. Don't you dare give up. It's worth it. Keep going, don't stop. I haven't stopped. God's still making me learn. And I'm like, really? Okay. I asked him for an answer, and God gave me that answer. So, I am excited to start my designer nutrition specifically for my body, mine. If you want information, I can talk to you about it. I'm just blown away. I have a couple more dear friends of mine that have started the same thing. We're doing this together to encourage each other. Both of them are seeing some improvements just like me, just in the very beginning. I'm excited, but guys, I'm most excited that I've got some answers, some more answers. I've had answers through the years, and it's just like God has given me different pieces of a puzzle. And it's like they keep making a bigger picture. And I'm going to trust him through the process. It's all in his hands. And I trust him for whatever he wants with this. But I am getting off. I was going to do this before I started my day, because my day, we're getting ready. Miss Joy's fixing to take us on an adventure. And we're getting ready for that. We've got to go do some errands and get all that done. And I want to do that, get on here, hop on right quick, and share with you my excitement and my joy that I'm finding out answers, more answers, and it's because I asked God. So, you all have a good day. Enjoy your day. It is beautiful here in the South. It is not humid. It's been that way for several days. But the wind's blowing here. I am standing under a shade. I'm not in the sun. So I might have changed my mind if I'm standing in the sun. Hey, Terry. But you all have a good day. Be blessed. And just pay attention, because Joy-Filled Adventures is fixing to hit the road. Talk to y'all later. Have a good weekend. Bye.